Ashley, can you take us through precisely what Trump is saying tonight?
Adrienne, Donald Trump declaring on social media that he's officially called off trade talks with Canada. It's over an advertisement from Ontario's government that's been playing on American networks. Ontario's premier recently launched the $75 million anti-tariff campaign using a video with the voice of former President Ronald Reagan. It's from his famous address in 1987. And in the video, Reagan is heard saying high tariffs lead to retaliation by foreign countries and trigger fierce trade wars. Trump wrote on Truth Social that the Ronald Reagan Foundation said it's fraudulently used. The foundation posted online that the ad misrepresents the president's radio address, and Ontario didn't have permission to use it. Trump also went on to write how important he says tariffs are to his country's economy and said, quote, based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated.
Let's bring in Katie Simpson in Washington. Katie, a huge blow to the momentum around trade talks, but it is true that Canada has seen this before.
Yeah, Canada has navigated this nightmare before and got through it, was able to sort of get things back on track, but it did deliver a massive blow to momentum that seemed to be building in the summer. And now Canada is finding itself once again in this very difficult spot. What I've been told previously by senior Canadian government sources is whatever we're hearing publicly, it's likely way worse behind the scenes. That is what has been this sort of pattern in the past when it comes to these kinds of big threats and these big blow-ups. The last time Donald Trump was this angry at Canada, it had to do with when Canada was about to impose its digital services tax. Canadians will remember he put a note out on Truth Social, seemingly without much heads up or warning, that he was again going to halt those trade talks because he was angry about that policy. What we saw at the time, Canada eventually decided to late night issue a statement on social media just before the actual tax was supposed to kick in, announced that Canada was not going to impose that tax. And it took some time for Canadian officials to sort of gear things up and get things moving again after some momentum had been building. Remember, the last few weeks, Canada had been trying to inch closer to the finish line to try and get some tariff relief. Mark Carney was just here in Washington in October. He and Canadian officials had said they've sort of instructed teams to get to sort of a landing zone to lower some tariffs. But now everything appears to be off.
Well, I mean, and so here comes the impossible question, right? What now? Where does this leave the negotiations?
Well, Mark Carney is going to need to possibly get some FaceTime with Donald Trump at these major international summits that are coming up in the days ahead. There was no formal bilat plan between Canada and Donald Trump on the sidelines of these major summits, but they are expected to meet in passing. Canada is going to have to do something to appease U.S. President Donald Trump to try and see if he'll change his mind going forward and to see if perhaps he will consider reopening these trade talks. If he doesn't, Canada and the U.S. is headed toward a really difficult renegotiation of CUSMA.
Yeah, winter's coming. All right, Katie Simpson in Washington tonight. Thanks, Katie.